Hello, everybody. We are the Shadow Experience. I am Ray. This is Draco, Lady, and Grims. We're going to talk about some spooky haunted houses today. I'm very excited to hear what you guys came up with. So go ahead, grab your favorite blankie, grab some popcorn, some medication if you're sick, me, and go ahead and join us for some spooky story time. Who would like to go first?
I guess I will. Only because I've been preparing my speech. Okay, look, you guys. So, Ravenade
I
decided to
pointed the wrong
host
way.
this one uh, to be about a little bit more about the creep side, experiences that people experience, and things that they go to. So, today, I want to take you down to Louisiana. All right. Where, let me make sure I get the right one here. Okay, I got the right one. All right. What is it called? This one is called The Tragedy That Struck. It's the Limpson Mansion in St. Louis. Okay, this is the Limp family, who was a premier family in St. Louis area, starting in the 1830s. It was a Adam Limpton who started it. Came out of Germany and started a brewing company out here. And then this is where it was their home as well as a brewing company, and they were one of the top of the countries. Of course, this is when tragedy struck. Out of the core family, there's four of them that died of suicide in the mansion itself. Two of the suicides happened 18 years apart in the same room. It served as their office. So as time passed, it became a boarding home, and many stories started to arise. So in the Limpton history, in the midst of their success, they experienced the first of the many tragedies when Frederick Limpton himself, the son, apparently died at the age of like 28. Mysterious things. Frederick, who had never been extremely in good health, died himself of heart failure. And then William, the same beginning withdrawal. He's seen the public and his son dying and his closest friend dying. Then this led, sorry, I didn't mean to laugh, but this led to him, with the brewery going down and everything due to prohibition, shot himself in the head with a 38 caliber. Okay. A lot of tragedy happening, and we talk about these portals and stuff of these negative energies. So a lot of their whole family, after Limpton's death, he also did the same thing, killed himself in the same mansion that he just inherited. So after this, another tragedy. Boom, William died of a heart attack at the age of 42. Now, here's where some of the stories come in. This was also served as one of those times during Prohibition where prostitution and underground buildings were built. And of course, the Limpton family had one of these. So William had a illegitimate son. They called him the monkey face boy. And after he died, Limpton's brother took over, and him and the illegitimate son, who was locked away in the attic all the time because he was younger, when he was younger, they made the building, boarding home and stuff like that. So soon after this, the monkey face boy dies. And then all of a sudden, Charles himself snaps. And he was held up, killed his dog first, and then killed himself as he climbed up to his stairs. It was weird because the dog was shot in the basement, but somehow ended up the stairs. So everybody, of course, mystery rolls around. Things start happening after the development turns into a boarding home. After all these deaths, and the family, coughs up the property. So a new family purchases it, and this is where things really get eerie. Is because as they were building it and opening it up, it says since the restaurant opened, staff members have. Oh, not. Let's go back before that. However, they started to build and immediately renovating the property. Well, crew started complaining about tools going missing, feeling being watched, frightened by hauntings, and most of them left the job site and never returned. because of the things that they seen. After the staff even opened up, the restaurant was finally built, the inn happened, and people started reporting strange things again: appearances, apparitions, quickly vanishing people, voices, and the sounds out of nowhere. Glass would often lift off the bar and fly through the air by themselves. And on occasions, doors were known to lock and unlock and slam by themselves. Lights, of course, flickering on and off, pretty sure due to energy. And it is said to have haunted by several of the Limp family members in three areas of the old mansion that have the activity: the stairway, which we know that as he was committing suicide, he was on his way up the stairs after he shot his dog; the attic, where the monkey face boy was locked away as a kid because he was the illegitimate son of one of the Lambton members who had a kid with one of the prostitutes. Of course, that situation ended in divorce. And staff referred to it as the gates of hell. They refer to the attic as that. I mean, or the basement. And is the area in the basement that is the entrance to the caves running below the mansion and the brewery. Like I said, a lot of things were going on down there. The attic is said to be haunted by William, and it's a legitimate son, referred to only as Monkey Face Boy. This poor soul, born with the Down syndrome, spent his entire life locked in the attic by the Limp Mansion. Strange occurrences are often witnessed in the third floor level of the mansion. The face of the boy has regularly been seen from the street, peeking from the small window in the mansion. Ghost investigators have often left toys in the middle of his room, drawing a circle to them to see if the objects would move. Constantly, when they returned the next day, the toys would be found in another location. And downstairs, the woman's bathroom, which is once where Williams Jr. personal domain and held his first freestanding sit-in shower in St. Louis, many women have reported a man peeking over the stall, on which such occasion a woman emerged from the bathroom returning to the bar and stated that two men were watching her, and I hope they got an eyeful, is what she said to them. However, the two men quickly denied ever leaving the bar, from which the bartender verified this ghost is said to be a womanizing William Jr. In the William Lipton's Sir room, guests have often reported hearing someone running up the stairs, kicking at the door, and the William kicked himself, William Jr., was known to run up and down the stairs to his father's room and find it locked, beginning to kick the door to get at his father. Several years apart, a tour has been started, and then people would hear horses outside the room where William was, and it was his office. However, the tour guide looked through the window and nothing was there in the area as they heard these horses. This area north of the mansion was known to be used as a parking lot, also known for a place where they would tether horses back in those days. Which, I mean, even they're trying to say even ghost spirits haunt such a place, which goes to the idea of what is this lady stated. She talked about supernatural experience while sleeping in the mansion. I heard someone was walking around the bed, and it wasn't my partner who was there. It kept walking and walking in a circle and circling. It felt like it leaned over me. Just gut wrenching moan, she said. That's all she heard. These moments don't deter people from coming to the Linton Mansion. They're often drawn in by these paranormal experience. So you yourself should check it out. As I was looking into it, I seen that there was a lot of experiences and a lot of people who have seen ghosts, and they have video. I didn't get into the video. I know, Grim. I was supposed to grab the video. I didn't grab the video, but these are the stories that we talk about. A lot of people were talking about how this place not only offers housing to those who were tragedy in there, but their energies have also caused portals for where other spirits can walk in. For me, the most chilling thing is thinking to yourself that you're laying there in that room and somebody that is deceased comes over you and just moans in your face. It creeps me out. And that is
That's
the
yeah, that's no. That's a no for me right there.
yeah, like Like, I don't know if the spirits are malevolent, but it
I've
sounds
been
like,
touched. I've heard moaning, but not in my face.
yeah.
I don't
Just
think I can
imagine.
handle a moan in the face,
I had myself
especially if I
muted so
don't
I could
see it.
cough. I'm just.
So there are people that have many experiences here. Burning
Ugh.
sensations, slamming doors, disembodied moaning, and crying, amongst other things. So, if you want an experience, apparently the Limpson Mansion in St. Louis can give you those bone chilling experiences.
I don't know about that.
And
Ugh.
as long as they're not in my face, because
Dude,
yeah, that's some crazy stuff right there.
just being there, being in that moment, or thinking about how many people actually died there. There was so much in there for me that just gave me the chills because we often wonder about that. What ties a spirit to this land? So,
Right.
ooh, just spooky. Just straight spooky. Sorry.
Lady,
St.
would you
Louis
like to
next.
share?
Of course. I just muted just because I don't want Draco to come through on my mic too.
Got you.
So I'm over here talking to myself. It's fine. Um, I wanted to talk about the La Lori Mansion. La Lori Mansion.
Mm.
I know a lot of
One.
people heard about it, and it was in American Horror Story. I mean, there's so many stories behind this. So I just wanted to touch on that because like it is kind of weird. Um, So at 1140 Royal Street stands what has become a legendary La Laurie mansion, where many of the New Orleans' most phantasmic poltergeists reside. Yet, do we know about this mysterious mansion? Why is it haunted? And that's what we're gonna dive into. The infamous Madame Delphine was born Marie Delphine McCarty. The gentle and sweet daughter of a well-to-do family grew up to be a woman who would later be known as the cruel mistress of the haunted house. Two of her husbands died, actually, of strange causes. Yet it was her third marriage which sparked the genuine suspicion. Um, Madame Lorraine's turbulent marriage that her third marriage was said to have driven her to madness, um, which she inhibited with her young and handsome husband. Reports cycled of the abuse which Madame Delphine inflicted upon her slaves and even her own daughters. This is what creeps me out about her is the fact that she actually had slaves and her kids, and she was torturing them all, and like the conditions they were in was just horrific. Um, but in the spring of 1834, the Lalaurie mansion was set ablaze. It revealed the horrific living conditions of a number of slaves who were being tortured, starved, and beaten. The fire was allegedly ignited by a slave who had been chained in the kitchen in an attempt to expose the way that she and others were being treated. Madame Delphine and her family fled the scene. The New Orleans press seized the opportunity to vilify and demonize Madame Duffy. Now, it is believed that most of the spirits which haunt the house are those of the deceased slaves. Unfortunately, um, the mob, the mansion got mobbed. Like the mob showed up, but she was already gone, and it's to this day that we don't know what happened to her. Soon after the fire, the house was converted into an apartment complex, and a tenant was murdered. However, the unusual nature of his death suggested ties to paranormal activity. Even spookier, in the mid 19th century, the Lalaurie Mansion functioned as an all-girls school, where the students often experienced bizarre and random physical assault. Today, The mansion is stately as it is spooky. It remains an iconic New Orleans landmark. Um, they actually like bring people on tours to this place, and a lot of testimonies are saying like they get touched, they get poked, get like violent visions. So it's pretty crazy. Um, it was it the stories of the mistreatment persisted, however, including accounts that were shared with Harriet, the prominent 19th century English writer who was visited in 1833. One account describes Madame Laurie is becoming enraged with a 12-year-old slave girl named Leah. Accidentally hit a snag while combing Laurie's hair, and she chased the girl around the room with a whip until the child leaped off of the balcony to her death. Leah was buried behind the mansion in the backyard, and she was found guilty. Lalaurie was found guilty of cruelly abusing her slaves and forced to forfeit her 9 remaining bondspeople. The slaves were taken away and scheduled to be sold at a public auction, but Lalaurie persuaded a relative to purchase the enslaved workers and return them to the mansion. So this is before the fire. When the police and the fire marshals arrived during the fire, they found a 72-year-old woman, the family cook, chained to the stove. She later confessed that she intentionally had set the fire as a suicide attempt because she feared Madame Larry intended to take her to the torture room as punishment. The cook claimed that anyone taken upstairs to the room never came back. This account reported that the local press led bystanders the next day to demand that their torture room be inspected. So when Lalaurie denied them entrance, they broke down the doors and found 7 mutilated slave bodies. Somewhere, some were hanged, and others were stretched at their limbs, and still others were missing body parts. One surviving old slave woman had a wound on her head that left her too weak to walk. So when the discovery of the torture room became widely known, a mob attacked the La Lorraine mansion. The surviving slaves were rescued and brought to the local jail for a macabre public viewing. By more than 4,000 New Orleans residents, investigators later found several bodies, including one child, buried throughout the mansion grounds. Madame Larue and her family escaped the mansion just before the mob took control of it, and what they did for the next 15 years is unclear. It is known that Marie Dauphine McCarty Lalaurie died in Paris, France, December 7, 1849. The mansion that Lalaurie lived in is now a landmark of a French quarter in New Orleans.
Oh,
So, yeah, so like the paranormal activity isn't from her herself, it's from all the dismayed slaves and everybody who got tortured. So you can imagine, like, the pain you could probably feel going into that mansion.
oh yeah, 100%. That lady
I
was
thought that,
crazy.
That's absolutely
yeah,
nuts.
yeah,
I did not know that.
it was a
Yeah.
crazy story.
That's like a really famous story too.
It is, it
Yeah,
is. That's why I wanted to touch on it because some people were like, they seen it in like the
yeah.
show,
I seen it in the show. That's about it.
um, but it didn't even just touch the fact of what she was doing, like it was way worse.
You okay, Ray?
I'm fine.
So the story that I'm going to go over is the Mongoloid house, or Mongoloid, or however it's
The
pronounced.
Mongoloid.
Mongoloid
Mongoloid.
house.
What does it
It's
stand
here
for?
in Ohio.
It's the Mongoloid house.
It's the Mongoloid house over on Salem Road here, actually in my town.
Hold on, wait. I just realized Salem's in Ohio.
There is a Salem, Ohio. Different
There is
Salem.
Ohio, but this is on Salem
Okay.
Road. So everyone in my county has heard the legend of the Monogloid house. Today, the house is abandoned. There's graffiti on the walls saying, "Leave while you can," and "This is hell." According to the legend of the house has cited numbers of gruesome murders and has been known to have been haunted. As the story goes, the first occupants of the house were a Civil War veteran and his wife. The couple could not have any kids, but when the wife suddenly got pregnant, the husband was suspicious. She ended up giving birth to 2 children, a boy and a girl. However, the children were very hideously deformed. The husband refused to believe that the children was his and became convinced that his wife had been cheating on him. One terrible night, the couple had a fight and the man flew into a rage. He killed his wife with a shotgun, set the house ablaze, and hung himself from the rafters. Somehow, the children escaped the blaze and they continued to live in the burned out shell of a house, surrounded by the charred corpses of their parents. As the years passed, the children grew up and had children of their own. With each successful generation, the children that were born became more and more deformed. They say back in 1960, the family who lived on the property were a peculiar looking bunch with hunchbacks and high foreheads. High foreheads, big heads, stocky builds, and close set eyes. Some people claim that the family were all mentally challenged or handicapped. Teenagers would often drive by the house and antagonize the family by honking their horns or harass them by shining flashlights in the house. The people in the house would come running out to throw rocks at cars and beat them with baseball bats. The crazed family would often be seen hanging from trees like monkeys or jumping out of ditches at passerbys. Some say they would fire shotguns into the air as a warning or even shoot at the cars. Others claimed they had paths throughout the fields and would use them to cut off. It would use to cut through and come out in front of your car, blocking you. And if you got out of your car, they would chase you down and kill you.
Jeez.
Today, the Mongoloid house is abandoned and nobody knows what happened to the crazed family. They say that if you visit the barn, you might hear strange noises and the smell of sulfur in the second story, which, if you guys don't know, the smell of sulfur is an indication of demonic entity that is residing in the home. And the house is also to be said to be haunted, and if you go into the basement of the house for more than 2 to 5 minutes, you will start feeling invisible hands touching you.
Nope.
So let that sink in.
Not doing it.
You smell sulfur in the second floor.
And then you got grabby hands.
Then you got grabby hands in the basement.
Nope. Mm-mm.
So
Going.
yeah, it's just. I mean, it's just a really sad story for the family that originally resided there. But there's more stories that go on that say later on there was more people after the 1960s that owned the house, another family, and that family would end up doing the same thing, killing their kid or killing their wife, setting the house on fire, and hanging themselves from the rafters. And it traveled multiple times.
Jeez.
So it could be a sign of possession in the house.
There's something really dark there.
There's something really dark there that is possessing people to do these things because they don't want them living in the house.
Like Amityville Horror?
Yeah, like Amityville Horror.
Mm-hmm.
And there's just a lot of stories of that same thing happening on the exact same road multiple times.
That's crazy.
And I even when I was doing research, I pulled up the newspaper article from my town called Marion Star that they even said, like, multiple times, just timing up the events, the dates of the events, looking at the newspaper, and it says that just last night, this a house on this road, this address, set ablaze.
Jeez.
Chilling. Husband killed wife by shotgun. Husband hanging from rafters, and kids were killed in flames.
Mm.
Yeah, that's
Hell.
some really scary stuff that goes on that road. If you are driving on the road, there's a bridge. You will actually see at certain times of the day, you'll see two little kids standing on the bridge, which people think that it could have been the original two kids that escaped from the fire at the given time and was pulling water from the creek to put out the fire, or it's just another the parents' kids that they were just playing on the bridge. But if you get across the bridge, your car will break down, and you will feel the car shaking. You'll feel the car rocking. You'll hear your door handles being jiggled like someone's trying to get into your car. And it's been rumored that one person stepped out of the car when they heard it to figure out what was going on, if there was someone outside the car, and he ended up passing away the next day of a heart attack.
Jesus.
Holy shit.
Wow.
Well, that gave me anxiety.
Mhm.
Oh.
Like, imagine that.
Well,
The
won't be
the
in
town that I
Ohio
live
anytime soon.
the town that I live in has a lot of dark history behind it. We have a lake that's like 20 minutes away from me that was an amusement park, and the lake is called Crystal Lake.
Mm-hmm.
We have the quarry. There's a lot of rumors, more or less, but I've seen stuff there that the reason why it filled up with water so quickly is because while they were digging, as something paranormal happened and it flooded the water instantly. It like instantly flooded with water. There's all sorts of equipment down there, excavators and stuff like that, construction equipment, and there's also like 20 or 30 bodies at the bottom of the quarry,
Holy
stuck
shit.
inside excavators and all sorts of stuff like that.
That's horrifying. That is also Ohio, and Ohio has a lot of
Ohio
locations.
has a lot of
Yeah.
locations.
They do.
And haunted items, too.
Yes, a lot of haunted items as well. So yeah, that's the story that I was going with today. Very, very dark, gruesome story.
Very dark one. I mean, mine's kind of on the like sad, dark side as well, though. So not too bad.
Not sad, dark.
It's sad, dark. It's got a little bit of both.
Mine was that dark.
Yeah. So I'm going to talk about one of the most haunted houses in America to date. The good old Sally House. And if nobody knows about the Sally House, I'm a little disappointed because it is a very well-known house.
Very, very
like
well-known.
Amityville level well-known. Let me just shoot this cough drop real quick. Okay. So, the Sally House is located in Atchison, Kansas, built in the mid-1800s. It is said to be haunted by the ghost of a young girl who died in the house while undergoing surgery for appendicitis. One night, a frantic mother came to the home of a doctor carrying her 6-year-old daughter, Sally, who had been sick all night and collapsed from abdominal pain. The physician noticed the swelling and hardness of her appendix, so knew with little time to waste he had to begin surgery. Sally was horrified watching the doctor unload the surgical equipment on the table next to her. The doctor believed that the appendix would burst at any moment, so he began cutting into the child before the anesthesia took full effect.
Mm-hmm.
Sally's screams suddenly stopped and she grew pale and limp. She died on the operating table. Her last memories were of a man whom she believed was torturing her. There is also on Asheson's website, they have a full-length documentary about the history of the home and the first paranormal investigators they allowed to investigate the home. It was really dope. I watched it. So Jesus. So on the paranormal side of everything, aside from people believing that the house is haunted by a little girl named Sally, psychics have also seen an older woman, the doctor, a little boy who they believe to be like 14 to 16, but the mental capacity of like an 8-year-old. Also, aside from what psychics have experienced, paranormal investigators have experienced a darker entity that pretends to be Sally to make people comfortable. So they are at a point now where they don't know if Sally is the actual spirit of the little girl who passed, or if it is a demon who is pretending to be a little girl. So that's a little bit of background.
Definitely a demon.
Huh? Oh yeah,
I said definitely a demon.
Yeah, no, there's a well-known negative entity. They don't know. So speculation is that it's either pretending to be Sally, so it could be Sally, it could be the doctor, or it could be this strange older woman that they think might have been the mother of Sally. But it's all speculation, just what of paranormal investigators, because also the story behind the Sally house is more of a theory. The full story of it is more of a theory than like full history, like documented history. They only have partially documented history from this time. Okay. So aside from the spirits that have been seen, and that people think Sally might be a demon instead of a little girl, there are many, many theories of who the evil spirit is that resides in the home. Some people also believe that it might be a puppet spirit that has all of these spirits within the home trapped to do its bidding. Because people can get in contact with Sally, but then there's times where if they ask too many questions, Sally will stop talking. Like, she's not allowed to say anymore. Throughout the years of, like, the first paranormal investigation, the neighboring homes, mothers have come forward. There's a story of one of the neighbors. She had, I want to say, like a 4 to 6 year old little boy and then another infant. And the younger boy kept claiming of like monsters being in his room late at night, and he was having like horrible issues sleeping. And one night the mother was woken up to screaming, and when she went into the bedroom to see what was going on, the little boy was just like pointing around the room, saying that he's watching the monster move around the ceiling.
Oh my
And she was
God.
like, yeah, I grabbed him out of the bed and he slept with me that night.
Oh
I was like,
my
I would have
God.
moved.
I would have just, yeah.
So yeah, not only is there a lot of paranormal activity in the house, but all of the houses nearby the Sally house also experience the same level of paranormal activity. Past that. So some of the stuff that has happened in the house, people have been pushed down the stairs. Full force, angry pushes. There has been mild scratching. There has been deep scratching. Bleeding caused. People have had things thrown at them aggressively. Somebody's had a knife set thrown at them. As soon as you walk in, the energy is so high and so that you'll feel claustrophobic and aggressively overwhelmed. Nausea and vertigo are very common within the house. So like an overall uncomfortable feeling it's very, very common. Okay, so aside from like the stuff that happens at night, like sounds, people have set their stuff down in the kitchen and it's moved across the kitchen, like in front of their eyes. The basement is now off limits that is where a lot of really messed up stuff would happen paranormal wise. People are not allowed down there anymore because of YouTube investigators decided to do too much. So basement is off limits. They have a story of one of their tours that they did during the day. Some parents brought their 4-year-old girl with them to the tour.
Oh no.
The 4-year-old girl disappeared for 30 minutes to an hour. It doesn't really say. But she disappeared. They went searching for her. And after a while, they found her within a closet inside of Sally's room. And when they opened the door, they were asking her, like, how did you get up here? Why are you here? Why'd you leave us? And she was like, oh, I went to play with the little girl. Kids and seeing spirits.
No.
What?
Isn't the Sally house the reason why the basement is closed is because someone opened a portal and then burnt the pentagram?
Yes. And also there was a group of YouTubers that went there after that and also did some stuff that caused the owners to not allow anybody else who visits to go within the basement anymore.
What?
So, within the infamous basement, there's supposed to be a portal in the crawl space where the demon and other entities live. This woman, because I also have some recent stuff that happened, my husband went over to the crawl space and was like, I don't believe you're real, I'm coming in. My ghost app started to say, stop, sacred. We went back upstairs to the top floor. We had dowsing rods courtesy of the city of Atchison. That's the other thing. Atchison will give you ghost hunting equipment to go to the Sally house. Yes.
What?
So we got dowsing rods courtesy of Atchison. They were doing all kinds of active stuff. One in particular turned in my hand and my phone spelled out entity. My husband then started acting really weird. He started to say he couldn't move. His mind was saying, leave this place, but he was numb and couldn't get up. He said he also felt guilty for taunting whatever it was in the basement, even though he was skeptic. So the basement is now off limits. They also, on their website for the Sally house, they also state, we have banned seances and Ouija boards. So there's that.
People don't close the portals.
No,
and just
they've done too much. And then the people who own the house have to deal with the cleanup after.
Yeah.
The other really cool thing about the Sally house is it's another place that they have people record in notebooks the experiences that they have, and they keep track of everything. Ooh. Like, they have notebooks in every room for people to write down experiences. They have the theory of the Sally home, taped up on the walls, and like other really cool information about the home taped up on walls. They have some of the original tools that the physician used. So they have like really cool artifacts of the home and then like stories of people who would have been there. They have also taken paranormal dogs into the home, and they won't step foot in Sally's closet. There have been neighboring dogs that will be let out in the backyard next to the house and will not go outside. And the really fun thing, because I wanted to share this with you guys, if you want to do an overnight tour there, it is $125 to $150 a person via their website. What? It's $125 a person.
A lot of those places that are like really big, it's how they maintain the building is by charging for a ghost investigation to go in there. Right.
It's also, it's a house from the 1800s, and they've put a lot of their stuff into keeping that up to date. But if you were to spend the night there, you have to bring your own pillows, blankets, and stuff to lay on. You aren't allowed to lay on their furniture, their beds, or anything. Like, everything's set up for staging.
Oh, shit.
But yeah, definitely.
But I really want to know is the Museum of Paranormal Stuff.
Oh
where
yeah.
they have the 666 Bible and all that stuff. I would love to go there.
But yeah, definitely if you whenever check out a really cool video, go to the city of Atchison's website, and they have a whole thing about the Sally House with a documentary of like the backstory and then like paranormal investigators that went there in the beginning. And
I've
it's
seen some paranormal.
it's crazy.
It's
I've seen some
definitely-
paranormal investigators that did that Sally House, and yeah, that was creepy. No,
Yeah.
The ghost investigators that we've been watching before all these recordings, Twin Paranormal, they did an investigation there with another team, and
ooh, I want to see
they
that.
got was some really creepy stuff.
Yeah, there's one paranormal investigator that won't even set foot back into the house anymore.
Nope.
He refuses. I forget his name.
One thing I learned from that story there, though, guys, is don't if there's recorded experiences of hauntings, do not challenge.
No. I mean, you don't need to do that in any house, even if it's mild activity. I don't care
Never
if you're a
challenge-
skeptic or a believer. Don't challenge things that you don't know anything about.
For real.
Because a lot of harm can actually come of you. I have for example.
I have a
of
great example.
the Annabelle doll.
Yep. Good old Annabelle and why you don't challenge shit.
Teenage boy and his girlfriend went to the actual Annabelle doll, and they were laughing at it, pointing at it, saying that it's not real. It's not real. If you're real, do something. Later that day, they had got kicked out of said museum, were found dead in a motorcycle accident. What was it? 3 miles down the road.
They were they were on their way. They had got kicked out and they left, and it was within 3 miles. He died on impact and she survived.
And she survived, and all she saw was the doll.
Yeah. She said the last thing that she's seen before the tree hit was Annabelle. Yeah. He died on impact.
That's creepy.
Yeah, no. I don't nope.
You don't ever,
Don't challenge
skeptic
things.
or not, if you do not know what's going on, do not challenge it. Do not accept it.
Yeah, agreed.
Because it is very, very dangerous, and no one knows what they are messing with.
No.
There's no way you can ever tell what you are messing with when things like that happen.
Yeah, there's also another well-known doll that's kept within a museum that I've talked to you guys about. That if you walk into the room, you have to ask his permission for everything.
Washington Club.
Yeah,
The
because
Washington Club doll.
yeah, because it's easier for you just to ask his permission and move along than to go up and just start doing whatever you want.
Yep.
And people will leave apology notes after visiting him because they didn't ask his permission. And they had, like, an accident on the way home. A whole bunch of messed up stuff happened. They would go back and write him apology notes to ask his forgiveness. Like, it's easier for me just to assume that these dolls have way more power than I know and to just go with them with respect than to risk it. I don't want to risk it. Nope, not risking it for the biscuit, sorry. Mm-mm.
Not risking it.
The
for
original
biscuit.
doll is actually in a case.
A glass
blessed
case.
A
Mhm.
blessed glass case inside a museum, and they don't ever take it out of the case.
Nope.
Never. The only time they would take it out of the case is to move it from one case to another. And when you go into the museum, they say do not ever challenge the doll, and do not ever challenge the devil worshiping statue that they have there either.
Speaking of that, the movie doll, the Annabelle movie doll is also kept in the same museum that Annabelle is kept in.
Yep.
What?
Yeah, and they said
the movie
that
doll and the actual doll
are kept literally diagonal from each other. And the messed up thing about it, though, is that they think because of all of the stuff that they did with the movies that they might have put something accidentally in the doll. So they
it's in
think that the movie doll might also be haunted because of the stuff that they put that doll through for the movies.
Yep.
So that's why they put her in the case. Holy shit!
Because what directors and publishers and movie writers do, they don't understand that the rituals that they are actually performing could be legitimate
Significantly,
rituals.
yeah, or similar enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's the same thing with The Exorcist.
Yep.
Yep.
The amount of stuff that happened and death that happened while filming that movie.
Poltergeist as well.
Yeah. Poltergeist. I was just talking about that movie today. Woo boy.
There was quite a few movies back in the day that they did too much and they considered it like a haunted movie.
Yep.
Yep. But they wanted realism back then. They wanted
One
realism.
TV series where they actually do everything by the book. They have the Book of Shadows and everything else. Is Supernatural. Their rituals for summoning and everything else, how to summon a crossroads demon, they're actually doing it correctly. So yeah, be careful with the rituals that you do. Even if you're a skeptic, I would not recommend doing it.
Just don't mess around with things you don't understand.
Yeah. And
coming from somebody who messed around with things that they didn't understand.
And we're not saying that we know everything, because we don't.
No.
We just putting that precaution out there for you guys to be careful, because these things are much, much more powerful than we are. And it is a very scary thing to have to happen to anyone. And I would hate for anyone to take it from our channel saying, hey, do a ritual, and something ends up happening to you.
Don't do that. Raven with the raid.
Yeah, I definitely feel like that's the biggest thing, is that we might tell stories, it might be spooky, but definitely don't just ignore what we say. Just be like, oh, yeah, no, I could definitely do that. Sounds great. No.
Don't.
Please don't.
Like, on the backstory, like,
Lady, you're muted, I think.
You're muted.
Jesus. I was just saying, like, there's like another backstory, like how we talked about Enemyville House, and like we're talking about Annabelle. Like, I feel like with that couple, they kind of like linked it all together, did all their things. But I want to talk about the Whaley House in San Diego, California.
Oh, that's a good one.
That is a really good one.
Yeah, it's kind of creepy because even before the house was built, the land beneath it saw very public execution, and it was a hanging of a notorious thief, which some say suggests it was doomed to be haunted. Which, when Thomas Whaley chose the site for his family's estate in 1855, its fate was sealed. From the time they first moved in a series of unfortunate events, including a fire, a home invasion, it just plagued the family. But really, things took a turn for the worse in 1885, when the younger Whaley daughter, Violet, shot herself in the chest. And since then, residents, workers, visitors, all reporting seeing Violet, still overwhelmed with sadness, haunting the second floor where she took her own life. Eerie footsteps, disembodied footprints, and unexplainable cold spots were still frequent reports from those who have visited the house turned museum. So they made it a museum.
There's a lot of museums dedicated to paranormal that I would love for the four of us to go check out.
Yeah.
I definitely want to go check out the Conjuring House for sure with you guys.
Oh yeah.
Now, I'm gonna be sleeping in the doll room if we do it overnight.
I'll be sleeping in the safe area.
Me too. I want to be around the bells.
And like the Amityville house, I didn't know he was only 23 years old when he got possessed.
Oh,
Yep.
Yeah.
And I'm like, holy crap. So he killed his entire family while they slept in their beds, including his 2 parents and 4 siblings.
Yep.
He confessed to the murders and was sentenced to 25 years to life. Just a year later, that's when the Lutz family, George and Kathleen, of course, jumped into, the estate. And that's where they got their whole book and inspiring films from Amityville Horror. Because they only stayed there for 28 days. So now they have a series on Netflix talking about the 28-day experience where you would be in a haunted estate and it takes up to 28 days to just experience a certain amount of things. And so they have like a theory. So check that out. I think it's really cool.
Yeah,
But
it's a good series.
they were saying that like they were woken up every day, 3:15 a.m. The kids were on their bellies just the way the other family died. Like it's just so much. Like they reported a plethora of smells, sounds, and unexplained phenomena, including green slime oozing from the walls.
Oh,
And
Ectoplasm.
a lot of these details have been questioned, but the Lutz family insisted the house has gruesome history, and it haunts to this day. Weird. But yeah, they have like this whole theory that they're doing with these people where they randomly throw in teams of like psychics, ghost hunters and stuff like that, and they blindly throw them into like haunted house for 28 days. They have no point of contact, no internet. They're just walking around with their cameras, documenting everything they're going through. And yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Now I'm freaked out. We gotta take that down.
Yeah, so chat, I want to know, what do you guys think of our stories today?
Oh, it's chat time.
While we I'm gonna look for something real quick before we open it up to the chat.
I just gotta take a drink of my water real quick.
So, do you guys have any other stories that you guys want to share before we open it up?
Nope, I fully invested into the Sally House.
Uh-huh.
House.
There's just a lot to unpack.
Oh, Unravel, when you have tragedy and people going through it and then seeing disembodiments, hearing sounds, spirits crawling upon you, or even scratching and, feeling that heat sensation that we talked about, Grims, where it's,
Like
you're scratched. Yeah, but it's
or you're
underneath
getting
the
scratched,
skin.
that burning feeling of being scratched. But
The chills.
Ray, I think this is a good time to open it up if you want.
Yeah, we're going to go ahead and spend the next, we'll do 25-30 minutes. If anybody wants to share any spooky stories from any haunted locations they've went to or any houses that they've lived in.
I'm gonna
Family
look for
members
something
that
too
you guys
Yeah.
have had that have dealt with things. If you want to be in the VC, join our Discord, which is in the About Me section. We are open to anyone that wants to share their story, whether it's a good story, a scary story, or even a sad story.
Paranormal. I'm gonna look for something. I'm gonna see if I can find it within this time.
And I have someone for us to raid out to today.
Okay.
Can we raid? Can we
We
raid?
should be able to. It's our month
I
now.
hope so.
Here, I'm gonna do follow. I can't do follow age because we don't stream elements. Never mind. I'm not gonna do follow age.
I hope I can find this in time.
Yeah, we should be able to raid out by now.
So,
Chat, this is your time to share a story. If there's anyone in chat that wants to tell a story of a haunted thing that has happened to them or a loved one in your family, this is the time for you guys. We always want to dedicate the last half hour to you guys because it is definitely amazing to hear other stories rather than just hearing our stories.
Or those crazy experiences we all go through.
Like, I've been having very vivid dreams lately. Very weird ones. I know I was trying to explain on chat the other night, but I was a little tipsy. For instance, like, what was it yesterday or the day before? Draco had woke up. It was like Friday. No, it
Oh
was
yeah.
Thursday. And he just like, I had a chair next to our bed because I
And
didn't want
she
to sit in
did.
the bed, and I was watching like TV and stuff with Draco and just eating dinner. And the next morning, it was like 3:30, 4 o'clock, and like he just woke up out of nowhere and was like, "Dude, I feel like somebody just woke me up."
No, I
And
seen
like
somebody.
somebody was standing
I've
over
seen
me or
somebody.
sitting by me, right? And then he thought about it. He was like, "Dude, you left the chair here." And I was like, and it was like literally pointing at us in our bed. I'm like,
Oh
that's weird.
no!
No, dude, and I
That
literally no,
is fucking
she's not
weird.
lying. I forgot about that. I literally okay, so my phone wasn't in the room. My phone usually wakes me up, for work,
Yeah.
right? But I literally opened my eyes and seen a shadow standing there and was like, "Get up." And I got up and I was like, "What the fuck?" I was like, "Where's my phone at?" And my phone was dead and it wasn't on charger. I had to get it for work, and I usually get up about this time anyway, right? And then I realized I said, "You put a chair in front of our bed?" Like, somebody was watching me. I felt it. I felt it. Dude, that was creepy. But at the same time, it didn't feel malevolent. I'm not gonna lie. Didn't feel malevolent, but yeah. I forgot about that. And we got mirrors too.
Never, lady. This is to you. Never, when you go to sleep, leave a chair facing the bed. You're
Yeah.
welcoming someone to sit there and watch you sleep.
And there
Okay,
was
but
somebody
listen, like
watching, trust me.
when I went to bed, it wasn't facing us, I promise. It was like side by side, like facing the TV. So by the time we woke up, it was like by our closet,
Closet
literally
facing me.
facing us. I did not do that on purpose. And I also should have put the chair away. But in my defense,
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't mean to, okay? Like,
Listen, everybody makes mistakes.
Ray.
yeah,
I
right?
don't know what you're talking about. You have no proof.
She said
Yeah,
you have no.
just you on video admitting it.
Yeah.
Come on, I pray this video is in here.
I was just listening to the videos of when I was at my aunt's.
Yeah, I was still trying to find the clip of that phrase I
I
heard.
don't think anyone is wanting to come up with a story for us today.
Yeah.
I mean, Raven's got some great ideas.
Yeah,
Do the
Raven's got
floss
some
in
amazing
spirit
ideas.
form. I can't do the floss in spirit form.
Those farts,
Oh,
Steve.
she's got to do the floss in spirit form.
Singing Baby Shark in a spooky voice. Would you be scared? No.
Yes.
I would know. I would know it's you and be like, Raven, shut up.
I mean, it would probably still be horrifying.
It would be horrifying. Like, what? Like, hey, shut. No,
So,
I'm good on that.
The person that I have for us to rate out to is Pepsi Sanchez.
Yeah, Pepsi.
So,
I'm so down
while
with
she's
it.
typing this in chat, thank you guys so much for coming through, watching this podcast. We love you guys so much. We want you guys to be
Hell yeah.
knowledgeable as we are gaining knowledge as well from doing these podcasts. Our goal right now is to hit 50 followers, and when we hit 50 followers, we'll be doing extra streams throughout the week.
Mhm.
One of which will be me doing knowledge of ghost investigation equipment such as the REM pod, K2 meter, spirit boxes, dowsing rods, and things like that. Renee will be doing a tarot card reading stream where if you guys want to, one person at a time, join in the call, ask a question, and Ray will do a tarot card reading for you on stream. Make sure you don't want to ask a question that's too personable to you. Draco will be doing rune readings for you guys if you guys want to get a rune reading.
It's all positive
And
love, you guys.
Lady Stay High will be doing pendulums. Is that right, Lady?
Yep.
Doing pendulum questions. So we have all sorts of really cool things coming out once we hit that 50 followers. So if you guys can get other people to come follow us, share us out to everyone. Make sure you're following us on all social
sorry.
media platforms. And as always, Ray, close us out.
All right, guys, we will see you next Sunday. We're rating Pepsi, so definitely show them some PBS love.
All that PBS
Good
love.
night.
There we go.